Morning, Columbia. That was Limp Bizkit and the Mission Impossible 2 movie theme song. It was for the entire crew. Well, after 4 spectacular days of impossibly difficult upgrades, Hubble is sporting a new improved set of solar rays, a new power system and camera system, and today you'll give it a high-tech cooler for its infrared camera. Keep up the great work, and we'll do our best down here to help you.
And good morning, Houston. Thanks for the great wake-up music. Sounds good. We're ready to continue Mission Impossible 3B with our last EVA. Looking forward to it. Houston, Columbia for Hubble. We're ready for the slew.
And Digger, we'll give you the call for free drift. They're still doing some commanding, and we'll have the heads up on the time in a moment.
A good view of the Hubble Space Telescope as Columbia passes over the Sahara Desert and the northern portion of Africa at an altitude of 360 statute miles. Commands have been sent by the Space Telescope Operations Control Center to begin the repositioning of the solar rays to provide access to the face of the telescope and the aft shroud that houses the near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer, which is the focus of attention today for John Grunsfeld and Rick Linnehan as they install a cryocooling device and mount a radiator to the side of the observatory 13 feet high that will attempt to revive the operation of that infrared scientific instrument. On the far right side of your screen, you can see one of the fixed-head star trackers on the Hubble Space Telescope. Just above it, that white rectangular area, is the location of the Wide-Field Planetary Camera, which has been in operation since December of 1993, installed on the first Hubble Space Telescope servicing mission.
Columbia, Houston, we're going to be handing over to TDRS West, courtesy of the folks in Diego Garcia at the moment. When we get AOS West, until about 2010, will be intermittent comm, and it's probably going to be deep off the tail, so we may not be able to talk at all.
Okay, Maria, copy that. However, I just want to compliment all the folks out there at Diego Garcia, a garden spot I've stopped by a couple of times, and appreciate the good work that they do for us out there.
Copy, Scooter. I'm sure they appreciate it.
The outer thermal cover on the airlock to Columbia has been popped open. The hatch will be rotated inward a moment from now. And the hatch is now open as well. The airlock down to vacuum. John Grunsfeld and Rick Linnehan preparing for the final spacewalk of this Hubble servicing mission. And downlink television from the elbow camera on Columbia's robot arm showing Rick Linnehan at the end of the shuttle's remote manipulator system, Scott Altman at the controls from the aft flight deck of Columbia. And you're looking at the helmet-mounted camera on Rick Linnehan's helmet as he works to disengage the bolts and open up the aft shroud doors on the telescope one more time.
7 turns. Okay, starting turns.
Columbia, Houston, good TV from Rick.
2, 3, 7 turns, Mike. 4, 6 or 7 turns. 5, 6, 7 turns. I'll tell you when I'm in position. Okay, I'm going to replace the pit pin, John.
Rick Linnehan now working to remove retention pins so that the final latch can pop open and enable him to open up the aft shroud doors, exposing the near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer.
Okay, I am bringing the handle latch open. Yeah, here they come. Okay. Okay.
And the doors are open on the Hubble Space Telescope.
Got the left, are you clear? Computer, bring me back in the bay, forward to you. Stand by, John. Forward, let's come 1 foot forward, please. Okay, copy, 1 foot forward. Thanks. Okay, I'm clear, John. Okay, you're good to open. Okay, I'll stop, Scooter. Take a peek inside. I am right now, John. I've got my floods on inside, and I'm looking. It looks nice and clean. I don't see any floating debris at all. Concur. Pit pins. And Rick, you'll want to reinstall the pit pin. Yeah, that's coming up, Mike.
A good view of John Grunsfeld on the left as the free-floating astronaut tethered both to the telescope as well as to the payload bay. Rick Linnehan riding the end of the robot arm. He will remain at the end of the arm through the installation of the experimental cryocooler in the aft shroud of the telescope right in front of the NICMOS scientific instrument. We're about 3 minutes away from sailing into an orbital sunrise. Columbia currently over the southern Gulf Coast of the United States at an altitude of 360 statute miles.
And the still here, the upper handle looks like about maybe 6 inches or so. Like you have about 2 feet on your head. Yeah, the head looks good. Okay, let's stop here for a moment, right. Please. Yeah, I'm stopped. Almost stopped. Thank you.
Rick Linnehan is in the process of removing the cryo vent line for the NICMOS instrument and temporarily stowing it in a bag.
And Mike, if I have a go, I can start turns. Go ahead.
You're looking right into the Hubble Space Telescope. On the left side is the near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer. On the right, right in front of Rick Linnehan at the front of the of his helmet is the Space Telescope imaging spectrograph.
Okay, thank you. There we go. Very good. Nice job.
Grunsfeld snaking the obsolete cryo vent valve underneath the center handrail to Rick Linnehan, who's stowing it in a bag.
Yeah, that has a lot of memory to it. I guess that would be called a serpent. That's a restrictor. Setting for ground strap, please. Alpha 3. Alpha 3. Counterclockwise 2. Counterclockwise 2. 10.5. Okay. 6 turns on the ground strap bolt. Roger that. So, hey Rick, once you're comfortable, you can stow that bag on the stanchion. Yeah, it should work, Mike.
Next up for John Grunsfeld and Rick Linnehan will be the disengagement of the NICMOS ground strap from the scientific instrument itself and the installation of the cryocooler ground strap adapter on NICMOS.
Stand by, I bumped it to Alpha 2.
Grunsfeld and Linnehan now 1 hour, 16 minutes into this morning's spacewalk. They will spend the morning as electricians and plumbers to help revive this dormant scientific instrument.
10.5. Good settings, extension fully extended. And that's complete. And I'm going to stow this in front for a second. Thanks, buddy. Okay, Scooter, we need to come down into the bay, please. 2 feet. Copy that. I was just about to ask for a GCA. Thanks, man. Okay, I'll stop, please. I'll stop. Okay, opening up the cover, Mike. Copy, Rick. And there she be.
Rick Linnehan has opened up the cover to the enclosure in which the NICMOS cryocooler is located in the second axial carrier, the centermost cargo carrying compartment in Columbia's cargo bay.
Reminder, tether before the last bolt. Okay, how many bolts? 4, right? Affirmative. Okay. Scooter, if you could take me down in the bay, please, 6 inches.
Once Linnehan retrieves the cryocooler, he will open up 2 bypass valves that ultimately will allow the neon gas to flow into the NICMOS instrument.
Okay, I see a piece of debris floating out of the NCC. Scooter, bring me aft in the bay, please, 6 inches. Coming. Heading for the aft shroud. It looks like a small piece of tie wrap, something that was inside, and I've caught it. I don't have a trash bag. I'm going to hold on to it so I can get back around to the workstation. You hold it for about 1 minute, I can get it. Okay, I'll hold on to it for you. Mike, I've got the P600 harness, and there's a picture of it. Looks like I said, a piece of the standard white tie-down material they use in the suits or to hold on cables. Okay, Rick, we're trying to get a look at that. And John, you can go stow the harness on the stanchion and retrieve that piece of fob. Wilco? And verify the... Okay, everybody? Yeah, I'd like to hand this off when I get a chance. Yep, we'll come. Thanks.
John Grunsfeld on the upper left with the red stripes on his suit, retrieving that small piece of debris from Rick Linnehan. It will be stowed in a bag, no issue there. Linnehan now working to begin to disengage a series of bolts holding the NICMOS cryocooler in its compartment.
Can you move your PGT? Yep. Okay, I'm going to fold down my mini workstation. Okay. And I'm going to come up over you. Okay, Mike, 3rd bolt, I'm tethered. I'm going for the 4th bolt. Last bolt. Right, Rick.
Once this 4th bolt is disengaged, Linnehan will be able to remove the cryocooler and open up 2 bypass valves from which the neon gas will be able to circulate from the cryocooler into the NICMOS instrument once it's all hooked up. Once that's complete, Linnehan, holding on to the new cryocooler, will be able to be maneuvered by Commander Scott Altman, who's operating the robot arm this morning, up to the aft shroud of the telescope to begin the installation process.
Good idea, Mike. Alpha 2. Alpha 2. Okay, I'll stop, please. I'll stop at exactly a foot. And I'm ready to remove, Mike. Copy, Rick. Okay, Scooter, ready for motion to the telescope. Copy, going to install.
NICMOS is out of its cargo carrier, as Rick Linnehan now will be transported back up to the aft shroud of the Hubble Space Telescope to begin the installation. The cryo-cooling device will again be installed in front of the NICMOS scientific instrument itself, and once an associated external radiator is hooked up, this cryocooler, which is an experimental device, will be activated and will spin up a turbine engine at about 400,000 revolutions per minute to circulate neon gas, chilling down the infrared detectors of the dormant NICMOS.
As Jim said yesterday, they finally got the layout right. And no good clearance on the A site. Okay, both valves open and on their Velcro keepers. Great work, Rick. Okay. I'm going to go down you, John. Fine.
John Grunsfeld now atop the manipulator foot restraint at the end of the shuttle's robot arm as he and Rick Linnehan prepare to maneuver their way down to the Mule, the multi-use lightweight equipment carrier, just behind Linnehan, who's wearing the pure white suit on the right side. Grunsfeld, of course, at the end of the arm wearing the suit bearing the red stripes, where they will begin the work to open up the compartment housing the radiator for the NICMOS cryocooler repair work this morning.
I'm ready to start motion.
Okay, and just a reminder, when we get back there, it'll be stanchion 135 right, boot plate 90 left.
Thank you. Rick, I see you on your way to the Mule. Heading over there, Jim. John, you're on your way. Thank you. Small paddle from the ground strap.
And John, I see you clear the telescope to come directly aft.
Yep, I'm clear to come aft. I have that small paddle, John. Okay. Do you need it? That's part of my fishing gear. If when you get back there, you can just come over and get it to me. Okay.
This view from the helmet-mounted camera for John Grunsfeld now, as he is being lowered down to the cargo compartment to retrieve this radiator 13 feet high that will be mounted on handrails on the side of the Hubble Space Telescope to work in concert with the new cryocooling device, which has been installed in the aft shroud of the telescope just in front of the NICMOS instrument.
Incredible planet we live on. Okay. Looks like you got it now. Okay, good. Okay. Coming away from the Mule, aft. Coming slowly away. Yep. Okay, I'm going to start to rotate it. Okay, John, you ready? Yeah, stand by. Okay. Rotating. Okay. We see good clearance. Better, Rick. Thanks, Jim. Good clearance for the radiator. How's the mass handling, John? I don't know. I haven't had to do anything yet. It's fine. I get to see the aft RCS. Zero panel. Looks like a big surfboard, John. And that's having a good config now for all of your motion.
Okay.
Once we're forward of the telescope, I'll do my foot plate.
Okay, and I'll be rolling you upright and bringing you forward now.
Very good, thank you.
Columbia 360 miles above the Earth as John Grunsfeld is being maneuvered with the 13-foot-high radiator to be bolted onto the side, or actually latched onto the side of the Hubble Space Telescope in the area between the compartment housing the NICMOS scientific instrument and the fixed-head star trackers on the observatory. Columbia currently traveling over the northern coast of South America, moving from northwest to southeast, about to cross the equator.
When we get over the A site, that's probably a good time to stop and I'll do my turn.
You bet.
I show us clear of the door.
Thank you.
I agree, John. You're looking good with the door clearance. You can come in laterally. And do I have good clear over the top of the A-site? I'm sure I do. You've got pretty good clearance. I wouldn't mind if you came up another foot or two.
Okay.
That's better.
Okay, him. Okay, I was watching now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ned.
Depending on where his hands are to the
I think
radiator.
if you maintain it like that, John, you've got good clearance. Okay. And Nancy she'll handle the rest for you. Don't go up any higher with it, though, because it's... Yeah, and you've got about...
Okay, we got about 2 feet.
3 feet to the... Okay, great. Thank you. Looking great, Rick. Hanging on the side of the Hubble. Okay, Nancy, let me do my turn here if I could.
Okay, the arm is stopped.
Okay. Like a Hubble bug. Okay, I see it swinging around nicely, John. Okay. Bottom's coming out a little bit. Yeah, I'm doing my foot plate turn. There you go. Did a good job on tethering the door. It's nice and snug. And Anthony, verify you want me 30 right?
That's done. 30 right.
Okay,
Can I see a 30 right?
Thank you. I'm ready for motion.
Rick Linnehan on the left. He is tethered to the telescope and to the payload bay. John Grunsfeld is now in the process of continuing to be maneuvered for the alignment of the radiator to the face of the telescope, where the 13-foot-high radiator will be latched in place on handrails on the outside of the aft shroud.
Okay. Coming in, that looks nice, correcting.
There are a series of latches up and down the radiator which will fit over handrails that you can see along the side of the aft shroud, both at the bottom of the aft shroud and the very top of the aft shroud. Again, you can see the closed door over the NICMOS instrument, the near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer, about to receive a radiator to complement a newly installed experimental cryocooler in an effort to bring it back into operation.
Your read ahead, John, is open NCS radiator handrail, N1, N2 latches. Install the radiator over the HST latches. Handrail. Copy. Nicely now.
Once the radiator is installed by Grunsfeld and Linnehan on the side of the telescope, they will then press into the power cable installation for the cryocooler, as well as the installation of a series of heaters for the cooling system as well. There are several lines through which the neon gas will be circulating, and other accompanying plumbing and electrical cables that the crew will then start to snake through the aft bulkhead of the Hubble Space Telescope to electrically mate the cryocooler itself with the radiator and its associated electronics box, which is mounted in front of the advanced camera for surveys just to the other side of the fixed head star trackers.
Over to your left or starboard a bit more, and then back into the bay. Okay, Nancy's still taking me there. Okay, great. I'll shut up, and when we get to the numbers, we can do a better job aligning. Okay, thanks. Okay, well, you get yours on and just let me know when you're ready. Let's stop here.
I'll stop.
This is the view from the helmet-mounted camera on Rick Linnehan as he visually guides John Grunsfeld for the alignment of the radiator against the face of the aft shroud of the telescope.
Nancy, if you could bring me up about 6 inches, and we'll start with that.
Copy. Up 6.
Yep. That was me, Nancy. Thank you.
Grunsfeld now beginning to engage the latches on one of the handrails at the top of the aft shroud of the telescope. You're looking right down the same view that John Grunsfeld has of this 13-foot-high radiator. John Grunsfeld on the right, wearing the suit with the red stripes at the end of the robot arm. Rick Linnehan to his left in the pure white suit. Now in place to begin the mating of all of the connectors on that conduit that was snaked through the bottom of the Hubble Space Telescope.
6, 7. They just keep pushing me right out. Yep. I got a hand on your plus.
Astronaut Rick Linnehan here on the right, assisting John Grunsfeld as they complete the installation of the radiator harnesses to the NICMOS cooling system.
Okay, Mike, I think I can do it without the boost plate. Okay, thanks.
Grunsfeld being maneuvered to the NICMOS cooling system diode box, where he'll be enabling several switches.
And you probably noticed it. Just wanted to give you
This view from the elbow camera of the shuttle's robotic arm.
Okay, no more up amps, the only amp. I copied you also, John. Thank you.
This view of the new radiator, the NICMOS radiator, that will cool the NICMOS system.
Thanks, Matt.
This view from the elbow camera on the shuttle's robotic arm. John Grunsfeld on the shuttle's robotic arm. Below him, Rick Linnehan.
Okay. Straight up.
Thank you.
And if you could look down and verify your clearance to Rick, or maybe he could change his orientation a little.
We're getting pretty close to
That's what I think.
being also needing to stop.
The arm is stopped.
Thank you.
Now 5 hours and 8 minutes into this fifth spacewalk of the mission.
The arm is right behind you.
The two spacewalkers have successfully installed a NICMOS cryocooler and a radiator, all part of the cooling system. This experimental system designed to keep that infrared instrument very, very cold.
Okay, stand by, John. I'll hand you the little key. The bottom. Okay, I have it, John. Okay, you have it? All right.
Grunsfeld handing his tools off to Linnehan, who will put them inside Columbia's airlock. Grunsfeld now coming off the shuttle's robotic arm.
Okay, release on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. We are released.
Open. Okay, let's bring it down, Rick. Okay, coming down. Hello? Yeah, you got it, John? Yep, I got it too. Okay.
Manipulator foot restraint now released from the shuttle's robotic arm and will be stowed. This view provided by a camera on the end effector of the shuttle's robotic arm.
Okay, I got my... The illuminators are bright.
For some reason I'm blinded, so I hope it's a good view.
Okay. We've, up here on Columbia on STS-109, we've just finished 5 days of spacewalking. We've given Hubble a new power system that'll take it off into the next decade of discovery. We've given it new eyes to see deeper into the universe than it's ever been able to see before. And I think you'll see that people at the Space Telescope Science Institute, universities all around the world, amateur astronomers, young and old, will be able to enjoy the beauty and inspiration that these new pictures from Hubble will bring. I'm convinced that the next most incredible discovery from Hubble is one that's probably months, if not years away. And the work that we've done up here on Columbia is just a small part of what has brought us to the point of being able to make those discoveries. Part of it, though, is the people, and it's people up here servicing spacecraft like Hubble and being able to make it better. It's really the incredible story. And although there's 7 of us on orbit, there's a huge team on the ground at the Goddard Space Flight Center, Space Telescope Science Institute, Ball Aerospace, Wales, Orbital, Lockheed Martin, United Space Alliance. The list goes on with maybe thousands of people who've worked on this mission, tens of thousands, to get Columbia into the wonderful shape it's in for us to go to orbit. The other remarkable thing is that we're outside in a vacuum right now in our own little spaceship. I think Rick has a few words to say about the
folks that have helped us get these spacesuits out here.
John, I was thinking about that all day. This is the third time now that I've been out in space. It amazes me that folks in Hamilton, Sunstrand can build a piece of apparatus or equipment like this that allows humans to come out into the harshest environment imaginable and function and work almost as if we didn't have a suit on. After a while, working in the EMU, it almost becomes like a second skin, an exoskeleton. And it's just amazing what you can do here, and also the view. I just still can't believe that I'm here, and I've got to spend this time in space with 6 other just fantastic people. And there's no way we could have accomplished this mission without those people. Just an amazing crew, and just a wonderful experience. And I guess for a little kind of on a lighter note or comic relief here, this is a true story. My physics professor, or my physics teacher in high school, he's listening. He used to tell me that the only thing I'd ever be good at was taking up space. So I guess I made it big time. Thanks.
Well, HST is definitely an icon of science, but also the peaceful use of space. And to all the people above us on planet Earth, may there be peace on Earth. And thanks very much for helping us with an STS-109.
Hope to be back. Thank you. And from the flight deck, John and Rick, and all the EVA team and the support, we just want to echo the same thing. It's been a great mission so far, and there's more work ahead of us. I know it's going to continue to be an outstanding success. And as a tribute to a large portion of our support team, we have a little something for them.
And thanks to Dana and Tomas and Charles and all the other folks who helped us on all these EVAs.
And Columbia, Houston, with that, it's time for the Orbit 1 team to go outside as the EVA crew heads inside. We'll get to see daylight for a change. And you guys did fantastic work. The choreography was outstanding throughout, except for some of the downlink music. But having said that, we appreciate the work you've done. You've helped science along tremendously, and we'll leave you in the good hands of Steve and Tony and the Orbit 2 team. Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure working with you, especially through these EVAs. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Skinner and I are up on the flight deck, and we copied, and I just wanted to say thanks again to Leslie and Mark for such a great job in all the RMS positions, and hopefully the EVA guys down there were happy with our support. We really enjoyed working with the whole team too, and we're really looking forward to tomorrow for some more arm-ups.
And from the mid-deck, thanks, Mario, to you and the whole team for supporting us through these EVAs. We really enjoyed it. It was an awesome experience.
And Mike, you understand now why everybody talks so highly of it. Appreciate that. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Okay, we have an internet question we'd like to answer, and it's directed toward Rick Linnehan, who is fresh from space, outside the spaceship. This is from Craig A. Nussbaum from Canyon Country, California, age 36. And he asks, to the spacewalkers, mainly one of the new guys like Rick, how does the real thing compare to training in the underwater chamber?
Well, Craig, hi, this is Rick, and we just get in from our third spacewalk tonight, and the big thing I noticed mainly is when I come in is I'm not wet. Usually, when we train in the NBL, which is called the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, it's a huge swimming pool, probably the biggest swimming pool in the world, I think, as far as I know. And we train in mock-ups of the suits similar to what we were outside, but we're supported by a bunch of people in scuba equipment who help us and service the equipment and move us around and try to simulate what happens in space. And it's so realistic that the first time I was out there, I kept looking around, expecting to see divers' faces pop up everywhere, but that never happened, luckily.
Okay, Rick, and you did a great job out there today, and you mentioned how you got a good look at Columbia from outside. Now, I know that this is your third flight on Columbia, and it's perhaps the record for flying aboard the oldest spaceship, the oldest space orbiter that we have. What was it like being on the outside finally when you were crammed inside for 2 missions?
A lot more space. There was just an incredible sense of, wow, I can't believe I'm here. First I turn around and there's the Hubble Space Telescope, and I turn around the other direction and I'm looking in the windows of the windows that I just looked out maybe an hour or so ago, and there's all my friends and crewmates in there looking back, and it's kind of a surreal experience, especially being part of this Hubble crew, getting to work on probably the most important scientific instrument ever created.
You know, what was interesting to me, Rick, was watching you guys outside, and the times I was out, a few times I was out at the MBL watching you guys working on the equipment. I was wondering how accurate the training equipment is compared to when you were out there on Hubble. Did Hubble throw you any surprises that you hadn't seen in training, or that the trainers and the scenario builders for simulators and such hadn't thought of?
Well, first, Digger, I've got to tell you that the people involved in Hubble, the trainers, the people who made the mock-ups, and all the replicas of Hubble and such that we work with did an amazing job. So much so that it's kind of like I don't know, sometimes when I'm out there, I can flash back and feel like I'm in the water or out in space. It's that good. There are changes, of course, in space. Today we had some peculiarities. That's the tough one to say. Some peculiarities.
It's still cold from space.
I'm still a little dry from coming in, but the cables were a bit stiffer and colder, and so when you're out here, some things are affected by the cold and vacuum that normally wouldn't be when you're training.
Well, Rick, I got to tell you, and to the folks back home, Rick and I have been out riding motorcycles a few times together, and I knew
You never fell off.
I knew the first time I went riding with Rick, and it was kind of a cold day, and he didn't have a windshield, and I was fully bundled up with my big windshield, and he was hanging in there for, what was that, about a 5-hour ride?
Yeah, exactly.
I knew if he could hack that, the space would be no problem.
That's because it ain't off fast. That's going.
And that's all for the Digger Show today. I hope you enjoyed our guest.
He almost didn't let me say goodbye, but so long, everyone.
Columbia, Houston for Scooter.
Go ahead, Houston.
Scooter, we're not ready for the PSP bypass, and in addition, when you're ready for the PMC, we can start that too.
Okay, let me go check how our OCA looks.
Hubble Space Telescope coming into view. Looking up the length of the Hubble Space Telescope, 2 new solar arrays. You can see the South Atlantic Ocean being reflected. Columbia currently just passing off the southeastern coast of Argentina, moving out into the South Atlantic Ocean. That round black object is the dish on the high gain
Good morning, Columbia. Digger, that was for you from Cheryl. Of course, it was Who Made Who by AC/DC. Now, we know that you've got the shorts and the white socks. We just hope that your air guitar made it down to the Cape in time for late stowage. Good morning.
Houston, Columbia for the Internet.
Go ahead, John.
Is this a good time?
Now is a great time, John.
From Robert White in Carroll, Ohio. His question is, are the suits used for spacewalking still custom made for the individual crew member as they were in the Apollo missions and early shuttle missions? Robert, the suits are not custom made anymore. In fact, they come in a few sizes, and each of the parts of the suit, like the arms and legs and boots and gloves, have adjustments on them. And so we are able to find a good fit for the suits by picking and choosing the right suit parts. Everybody on this mission was in a large part upper torso, but each of us had different size lower torso assemblies, gloves, and arms.
Columbia, Houston, HST folks are happy. They've gotten everything they've needed. Excellent job for keeping us informed and keeping things well documented video-wise. You're the producer-director. Next video is your call.
He says you're still with us. We're going to go on for grapple now.
Copy. We have the model to assist us in our view.
A good grapple of the Hubble Space Telescope confirmed. Nancy Curry working with Mike Massimino at the aft flight deck of Columbia. Massimino responsible for the grapple and the unberthing of the telescope. Nancy Curry will be responsible for the deployment of the telescope less than 3 hours from now. Robot arm operator Nancy Curry on the left. John Grunsfeld, the prime spacewalker, on the right, and Dwayne Carey now floating into the field of view.
Payload.
Yes, Digger. John, excuse me.
Hey, Mario. Camera setup's complete and HST umbilical disconnect and power transfer pre-checks are complete. We're waiting on your go for dead face umbilical in step 3.
Roger that. We're working on it.
Thank you, Mario.
John Grunsfeld running through the checklist from the aft flight deck of Columbia in preparation for the disconnection of the external umbilical, which has provided orbiter power for the Hubble Space Telescope for the past 6 days. This is Mission Control Houston, the Hubble Space Telescope now on this downlink television from payload bay cameras in Columbia. At the end of the shuttle's 50-foot-long robot arm under the control of robot arm operator Nancy Curry. Hubble now in its deploy orientation. Its brand new solar arrays parallel to the body of the telescope. You're looking at the face of the telescope, those two oval-shaped objects and the circular dark object above, the 3 fixed-head star trackers.
So the Hubble in position. We're ready for our maneuver if you concur.
And Columbia, Houston, copy. We're go for the maneuver. It should take about 30 minutes, and we have good TV for imagery through the rest of the West Pass.
Okay, Houston, roger that.
Commander Scott Altman now will begin a 30-minute maneuver to place Columbia in the proper orientation itself for the deployment of the telescope. Again, you're looking at the face of the telescope along the aft shroud of the observatory with the 3 fixed-head star trackers. Now in this view, another view from another one of the payload bay cameras showing the 2 high-gain antennas deployed in the correct orientation perpendicular to the body of the telescope. The 43.5-foot observatory refurbished and upgraded, ready for its deployment to fly free once again just 1 hour and 2 minutes from now. good view of the 43.5-foot high observatory poised at the end of the shuttle's robot arm for deployment at 4:04 a.m. Central Time.
Columbia, Houston, your go for HST release.
Copy, Houston. Go for release. Thank you.
So after 5 servicing spacewalks totaling more than 35 hours, by 2 teams of spacewalkers on the 4th servicing mission to the Hubble Space Telescope, the observatory is ready to fly free once again to resume its scientific observations. Deployment confirmed. The robot arm backing away from the Hubble Space Telescope. Applause in the Space Telescope Operations Control Center. The refurbished, more powerful Hubble Space Telescope flying free once again, ready to resume its voyage of discovery. And the first separation burn is now underway. Columbia departing the Hubble Space Telescope, not to be revisited for the next 2.5 years.
We have a beautiful view of Mr. Hubble, the telescope, over the Earth's horizon, ready to go and make new discoveries. And from the crew of STS-109, we bid Hubble well on its new journey with its new tools to explore the universe. Good luck, Mr. Hubble.
And we wish it well from down here as well, John. Thanks for the words. Columbia, Houston, I think you'd be happy to know that HST has transitioned to normal mode.
Yes, that's great to know, Mario. Thank you.
That call indicating that all of Hubble's systems are now up and running under the guidance of the Space Telescope Operations Control Center at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, now in full command of all of Hubble activity. So with Hubble flying free, once again under the control of the telescope engineers at Goddard, the shuttle portion of this mission with Hubble has now come to an end, and the shuttle astronauts can now turn their attention to the rest of their flight and a landing on Tuesday morning pre-dawn at the Kennedy Space Center.
Columbia, Houston, we have a good view of Hubble from down here. Thanks for the downlink. You're right, it is an ooh-ah picture. Scooter, Dana's on.
Okay, copy that. Dana, this is Scooter. Just wanted to talk to you for a minute.
Great, Scooter.
And Dana, hey, I just wanted to pass to you and Tomas, Christy, the whole team, but especially you three, how tremendously happy we are at the training we got, and just how that we couldn't have done it without you, how much we appreciate all your work.
You guys did an excellent job. You made us very proud. A lot of smiling faces here. All the HST folks have been sitting on the loops, expressing their thanks to everyone down here, and especially to you guys up there.
And Dana, if you could pass on to Tomas, in particular from Mike and I, would like to say the Grasshopper on board has graduated.
Copy that, Jim.
And Dana, I can't express to you how much all of your help and the folks that are in your back rooms
have helped us to get to the point that we've just deployed a Hubble with a whole set of new tools. And all the time that we've spent together working on making this mission a success with the whole team, it's just incredible that we've gone through this last 5 EVA days with all the support we have and making it all work.
I echo your thoughts on that. It's been amazing.
And just to close, speaking of amazing, the uplink of the press conference has really kept us up to speed, and we've really enjoyed watching. So thanks again for everything, including the press conferences. You've been great.
They've been a real joy for us. We really look forward to that part.
That's affirmative, Nancy, and with you guys passing overhead Houston in tandem with the HST, we're going to declare a forced LOS, and with all the ZOEs closed throughout the mission, we think it's appropriate that we do so. So be sure and wave as you go by.
You bet, Mario, and before you go, just real quick, we want to really thank Leslie Hannon and Mark Lipsky for all the hard work they did on the ARM. We haven't been able to talk to them very much this flight, but for an ARM operator, this was a dream flight, and we've really enjoyed it. Mike did a great job, and Scooter did a fantastic job backing me up on EVA. And from all three of us to Jeff Sugar, he was the best PDRS instructor, and we can't thank him enough.
Copy, Nancy. Quote, you made it look easy for
Jeff,
them.
thanks for the Run DMC advised word.
Copy, Scooter. You got a one laughing console to my right.
And from Mike to Jeff and Mark and the whole gang down there, thanks very much for putting up with me and sticking through the training flow with me. I sure appreciate all your hard work. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. We'll pass that along to the training folks. Appreciate it.
Ooh, let's talk first about the deployment. How did it go?
Hey, good morning, Soledad. It just went picture perfect. It was really a beautiful sight to watch Hubble leave us as Nancy Curry detached it from the arm, and we let it float away as we did our separation burns. Just tremendous.
I know that the focus has been on the repairs to the Hubble. Just how difficult has that been, and what have you improved on the Hubble telescope?
Well, for the EVA team, we were a little sad to see the telescope go. We'd spent 5 days out in the payload bay of Columbia doing our repairs, and we installed a new power system on Hubble that'll carry it into the next decade, and installed an advanced camera for surveys. It's the new eye of Hubble. It's a super camera, and it's got a large area detector that'll allow it to see to the edge of the visible universe and improve our knowledge of our universe, our backyard. The repairs were hard in some cases, and some things went really smooth, and we were just lucky to get it all done, and I hope to do it well.
How do you sleep up there?
Hi, Allie. Well, we have little sleeping bags that we roll out. You know, you're floating up here all the time, so really you're not sleeping in them, but you're sort of floating inside of them. And they help kind of keep you in one place so you don't float around the cabin while you're sleeping and bump into people or switches. It's actually pretty good sleep.
Nancy Curie, I have a question for you. There's a lot of young ladies in this audience down here. What does it take for a young woman to become an astronaut such as yourself?
Well, if you look around NASA, not only the shuttle, but the control center or any of the NASA centers, you'll see women well represented in any of the disciplines. And all it takes is a lot of hard work and study math and science, and just whatever you put your mind to and dedicate your life to, you can succeed.
How does it feel to be weightless?
Well, you can see us up here right now. We're kind of just floating up and down. And when people ask me that, the best way to describe for people on Earth what it feels like to be weightless is if you've ever been in a swimming pool and just bob around. It's almost like swimming, except you're in air. And you float everywhere. It's a lot of fun.
You guys set a record 35 hours of spacewalks in the past 5 days. What was that like?
Well, I'm just going to answer for the entire crew in that all of us kept very busy during those spacewalks. Not only the folks outdoors, but the people inside, Nancy driving the arm, watching what's going on, making sure we had all the photo documentation. There was the guys who were not outside doing the spacewalks were inside, tracking along, following procedures, and instructing the spacewalkers on what to do, what settings to use. So it's just been a very intense 9 days of concentrated effort.
Would you tell us who your greatest role model is and why?
Greatest role model?
Well, my biggest role model is my father. He worked very, very hard when I was a kid, and that was a good role model for me to also work hard and help me to become an astronaut.
Does space really look as beautiful as the pictures we see?
If you can believe it, after my first mission, the first thing that I said is that no film in the world can capture how truly beautiful the world is as we look out the window. It is incredibly awesome, and we would like to capture it on film, but unfortunately film just doesn't do it justice. The pictures are beautiful that we bring home, but it's even more beautiful up here.
Is there any lingering concern about that cooling system, and how gratified are you that you got through the week?
Well, you know, there's always the concern that something could change, but we are incredibly happy and grateful that we were able to stay up here. There was a lot of concern a week ago, and it's great to now be able to look back and see how much that's turned around and what a success the mission has become.
John Grunsfeld's suit sprung a leak, quite literally, some of the cooling water that runs through it. Jim, what went through your mind at that time? Was there time to think, or did you just get the towels out and get to it?
The first thing that went through my mind is to immediately let everybody know that we weren't going to be going out in the next few minutes as we thought we were going to, and that we needed to assess the situation so we could get Houston on board with us as part of the team to help us make some good decisions about where to go next. I was sure we weren't going out right away. I was scared we wouldn't go out at all that day, but Houston let us do a relatively quick turn and press on with the EVA, which was very successful. We're very grateful.
Set your timeline back by only a couple of hours, no worse for the wear as a result. Mike Massimino, a rookie astronaut, rookie spacewalker, obviously. We had all nervous on that first go-round, being around a $2 billion telescope. You just don't want to break it, because if you break it, you own it, right?
Well, yeah, I was a little nervous and wondering what was going to happen, but what made me feel better about it, Miles, was I had a real good partner, my buddy with me out there. I knew Jim and I can work well together. That made me feel a lot better. I knew we were going to have John and Rick looking after us on the checklist inside, and Scooter and Digger watching us, and Nancy flying me around on the arm, and of course all the folks down in Mission Control looking after us. So when I thought of it as a team effort, that made me feel a lot better. I knew the suits were good. We were going to be safe in the suits, and everyone was watching out for us, so that made me feel better about it. All that said, though, I knew I really needed to be careful, that the actions that we were going to be taking out there were going to be important, and we had to be real careful with every move to make sure that we did the right thing, and as a result, we did, and it was really just an incredible experience.
Well, I know you got to feel better when you have guys with names like Scooter and Digger running the show. Let's move it over to Nancy Curry, who is running that 50-foot robotic arm. Nancy is an Army helicopter pilot, which she says makes it easier for her to do her job. What's it like, though, having a person on the end of that arm, sort of like a human socket wrench, Nancy? Is it a nerve-wracking job, or you just sort of get into it and it becomes an extension of your arm almost?
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said. It really becomes an extension of me, and John said it best the other day that I was connected to the hand controllers, which were manipulating the arm, which was connected to John, which at one point was connected to Rick, maneuvering him. And if that didn't epitomize the team effort on this crew, I'm not sure what did throughout the entire mission.
And Scooter, with that, the Orbit 1 team is going to hand over to the Orbit 2 team. Steve and Tony and the rest of the Orbit 1 team will take you the rest of the way. Fantastic job today, as with the rest of the previous days of the mission. You guys were superb throughout, and it was a pleasure being here to watch it all unfold. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Hey Mario, please pass to the whole control center again. Just every day working with you guys has been a treat, keeping us in sync, watching our back. We appreciate it and have enjoyed it. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow and working with Orbit 2 now.
Houston, Columbia, I think what will be captured in the rest of the images you're going to see is what a busy time we had on the flight deck this morning.
Understand, Digger, and that's great.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at video that was recorded earlier today as the crew of Columbia was preparing to deploy the Hubble Space Telescope. The 7 crew members aboard Columbia have a quiet afternoon planned, doing a bit of cleanup tasks and some other light work that they need to get done. They are scheduled to go to bed in just a little over 3 hours at 11:52 a.m. Central Time. Earlier this morning, a little after 4 at 4:04 a.m. Central Time, Columbia's crew deployed the Hubble Space Telescope after having completed 5 very successful spacewalks that upgraded all the systems on that telescope.
I'd like to introduce Nancy Curry, MS2 on this flight, and she's involved in everything we do. You know, we have folks that primarily specialize in EVAs and folks like Scooter and I that primarily specialize in sitting in the front seats. But Nancy swings between both crews, and she's been busy the whole time. Now we have a question for Nancy from the internet. It's from Marcelo from Bronx, New York, age 26. And Marcelo asks, as I understand it, prior to your final approach with the Hubble, you have to turn off the reaction jets on the shuttle to prevent any blasting onto the satellite. How are you able to fine-tune your approach to Hubble without those jets?
Well, Marcelo, that's a really good question, and in fact, we use a term on board the shuttle called low Z, And what that does is enable certain jets to not fire, specifically not to plume the spacecraft. We don't want to plume the spacecraft arrays and cause any tumbling or put any additional rates on the spacecraft. And sure enough, when we made the Hubble approach, Scooter, our commander, was flying manually. He did a fantastic job. When it was all stable and ready for me to maneuver the arm, we determined that between ourselves, and then I maneuvered the arm over and grappled it. But he made it really easy for me because he just did a fantastic job with the rendezvous.
You know, Nancy, while I've got you here, couldn't help but notice during our training that you have a peculiar philosophy in training. Nancy likes to practice, and then she likes to practice, and then she likes to practice, and then she keeps practicing until she gets to orbit, and then I think she even practices in her sleep before she actually does something. What is your philosophy on accomplishing difficult tasks like this mission?
Well, Digger, I guess you said it best. You can't have enough practice, and you know, you can always learn. We have two folks on this flight, Digger and Mike Massimino, who are rookies. They're no longer rookies. But what they lend to a crew is a new way of looking at things, and Digger's got a really unique way of looking at things, and we've learned a lot from Digger this flight.
Yep, we've done a lot of difficult things together on this flight, but we have a couple more big ones to go, don't we?
You bet. It's not over till it's over, and we know that, and the three of us on the flight deck, and Rick will be riding along with us, and he's just a tremendous help as MS-1 for the entry, and we all know we got a big day coming up, and we're going to keep focused on that, and it's not over till we'll stop.
Okay, Nancy, thanks a lot, and that's it for the Internet questions for tonight.
Columbia currently orbiting the Earth over the central eastern Pacific Ocean, just passing over the equator on a southeasterly trek that will take them over a central portion of South America. You're looking at the coast of northwestern Chile from an altitude of 359 statute miles. This view provided by a camera in the forward section of the payload bay of Columbia. About to experience an orbital sunrise.